Hey everybody, this is Abhay and welcome back to new video. So I know this is a long break and I have not been uploading videos since almost a month now, and I was busy with my internship and my college, so I was not able to record videos. And here we are back again, and in this video we are going to create an app like something like app called song playlist app. Here this is going to be a core Java and oops, and we are going to combine these concepts and create an simple song playlist app. And what we can do with this is we can create our album, add our favorite music or song to that album, and we can do much more things, and we'll see it as we move forward with this project. So if you are creating an app of song playlist, then we must need a class of songs. So go to project mode. Okay, one more thing, I am using this light theme this time because I believe the dark thing was not suitable for uploading videos on YouTube, because it must be dull when you are seeing the video in 360p or 480p. So it was difficult to read things in dark theme, and that's why I'm using this white theme, and let's see how it goes. So go to our app, and inside this sources here we have our package called com.aware. So let's create a new class of songs. So right click on this and go to new, then we have this Java class. So click enter and let's name this class as song. So hit enter and okay, let's give us some room. So here is class of song. So the first thing that we're going to need is a string, which is the name of song. So let's call it name. And the second thing that we have in song is the duration. So string, okay, not string, this is going to be double. So double, and let's call it duration. So let's have a constructor. So control plus and constructor, and we want both the things to be initialized, so string and doubles, and hit enter. So we have this, and let's also create an empty constructor, although we are not going to use it, but still let's have one. uh, yes, that's it. And what thing we have, let's get what is the name of the song. Let's use this as title and not name. So title here, and okay, I would have just used refractor to do this, but anyways. Okay, we have this empty constructor, we are not going to use this, but let's get something from this class. So control plus n, and let's get both of them, and I doubt I'm using this get title or get duration or not, but let's have them both. So what else we can have is we can also need a toString method. So if you type toString here, and it will give you public string toString. So it will, what it does that it will return whatever the property of the class is. So here is the class of song, and we have this string title and a double duration. So it will simply print those things for us. So here we have this a public string toString method. So it is simply returning whatever we have in this class. So yes, this is all about the song class. And the next thing that we are going to need is a class of album. So if you are creating a song playlist app, so we need to have song, and then we need to have an album. So this, go to project mode, and again right click on this package name, new, and let's have a Java class, and this thing is called, let's say, album. So hit enter. So here is our album class, and what we have as a properties of album is the name of album, and the artist, which artist have created this album, and an array list of songs. So array list is basically an array but with more functionality and more uh, dynamic array. We can say array list as a dynamic array, we can add elements, remove elements. So let's create them. Let's type private, and the first thing is name. So private string name, and then we have the name of artist. So private string and artist, and the next thing we have is an array list of song, because that is what an album is. So private, let's create an array list and this array list is of song. So, and let's call it songs, and let's have a constructor. So click enter, we found all these. So here it is, we have a constructor, but we don't just need this dot songs is songs, we have to initialize our array list here. So new array list of song, right? Okay, so here is our album. Let's also create an empty constructor, although I'm not going to use it, but it's always a good practice to have an empty constructor. So here we are done with the properties of album, and what the next thing that we have is we need some functionality to add songs inside the album, right? So let's define that method. So public, and the return type is going to be boolean because we have to return true when song is successfully added and false if not, right? So public boolean, we call it add song. Okay, sorry, add song, and we have to pass in the name of song and the duration. So string name and double duration. Okay, let's not call it name, let's call it title, right? Now, okay, if we are going to add song to an album, we have to check that if that song already exists in our list or not. So it is good to create a separate method which checks for if the song exists or not. So I'm just going to create this method in a moment. Let's use this. So if let's call that method to be find song. So find song, I'm going to create this method in a while. So, and we'll pass in the name of song is equal to null. That means the song that we are going to add in the list is null. That means that is it doesn't already exist in our this list of songs. So then only we have to add it. So if find song title is equal to null, so in that case we will add this new song. So songs dot add, and here we have to pass that song. So let's create a new song because we don't have the song, so we have to create a new song. So let's pass in the title and duration that we are getting from here, and in after that we will print this, that means song successfully added. So let's get the title, and okay, not this, successfully added to the list. So we have added this to a list and will return true. And in the else part what we have is the first thing is we have to return false, and let's also print something which says song with this name, song with name, and then the title. So title already exists, right, in the list. So in the else part, the song already exists in the list that we are going to add. So let's create this find song method. So here we have this public, and the return type is going to be song because we are checking for the song. So return type is song, and let's call it find song. And here it takes string title of the song that we have to check. Okay, now we have to iterate through the loop to check if the song exists or not. So for that we are going to use enhanced for loop. So for we have to check for song, and the variable we are going to use for the traversal is called checked song. So we type checked song inside the lists, and the list is called songs. And if it already exists, so if you know what we type checked song dot get title, here if you remember we have this getter called get title inside this song class. So if checked song dot get title dot equals, if this is equals to whatever passed inside this method title, so that means we have a song with this name in this songs list. So in that case we will return whatever the song is. So we'll return checked song, and else part will return, not else, will simply return false. Okay, not false, will return null because the return type is not boolean. So if song already exists in our list, it will return that song, else it will return null. So here, if find song title is null, that means there is no such song exist in our list of song, then we will simply add that song, right? So we are done with add song method and find song method, and the next thing that we can do is we need a functionality to add song to the playlist, and this song must exist in our array list already, so then only we can add it to our playlist, right? So let's type it public, okay, public, sorry, what it is, public boolean, and let's call it add to playlist. So we can only add those songs to the playlist that already exist in our album, and that makes sense because we cannot add those songs to the playlist which doesn't even exist in our album, right? So the first thing is we need to check for the track number, so we'll pass track number here, and the second thing is going to be a linked list of a playlist. That means in what playlist we are going to add the song. So linked list is basically a data structure which will have a reference of the next element and the previous element. So that's what makes sense while creating this song playlist app. We need to keep track that what's the next song is and what the previous song is. So we are going to use a linked list. If you want to know more about linked list, you can simply Google it. You'll get everything what you need. So linked list, and this linked list is going to be of type of song, and let's call it playlist. This is going to be a playlist, and here the first thing that we need to check, that we have to convert this track number to an index. So index have a zero indexing system, but track number have a one indexing system. That means it starts its numbering from 1 2 3 and so on, but index starts its numbering from 0, so 0 1 2 3. So int index is equal to track number minus 1. So here we have this index, and we have to check that if passed track number and everything is valid or not. So if index is greater than 0 and at the same time index is less than equal to the list or the size of the song, so this dot songs and will have need size. So if index lies between 0 and the size of the song, then only we can add that thing to our playlist. So in that case, playlist, which is a linked list dot add, and here we have to add whatever the song is in the array list. So this dot songs, now we have an access to the array list and we'll get the index. Here we have this get index which will have return type of song, and here we have to pass in the index itself, so we'll pass the index. So it will add that song which is already present in our array list to our created this playlist. So if we are done with this, we'll simply true return true, and else we have to say that this album does not have a track with this track number. So after outside this if statement, we will print system.out.println, and this album does not have a track, so this album, okay, I don't know why I so bad at typing. So this album does not, what the hell is this, does not have song with track number, and whatever track number it is, and we will simply return false after this, right? So return false. So here we have methods which are find song, then add song, and then add to playlist song, which have track number and a linked list of playlist. What the next thing that we need is we also have to create another method, add to playlist, that takes title of the song as an input, and again linked list, which is the playlist itself. So let's see how we can create it. So we type public and return type is boolean, then add to playlist, that's with same name, so playlist, and here the inputs are. So this is basically, we have two same methods but with the different parameters inside it. So user can either add songs with the track number and playlist, and either with the title and the playlist. So we have a string title of the song, and the next thing that we have is a linked list of song as well. So song, and let's again call it playlist. And here what we need to check is that if the song already exists in our album, or not. So we have to traverse. So for, let's use enhanced for loop, and let's call it song dot song, and checked song inside the list, so this dot songs. And here if this song already exists in our list, in that case only we can add to our playlist, right? So if checked song dot get title, and this thing is equals to the entered title, which is title, if this exists in our album, then only we can add it to our playlist. So playlist dot add, and here we are going to add that song, which is checked song, and return true because our operation is successful. And outside this for loop we'll have to print that uh, there is no such song. So title, and it says there is no such song in album, right? And we'll return false. So here this is all about album. We have created a constructor, and then we have find song method, which will return the song that we have entered as a title, and return null if there is no such song. And then we have this method called add song, which will first check that if this song already exists in our list, and if it doesn't exist, then we will simply not add that song. We cannot add that song because it already exists. And else if it doesn't exist, then simply add that song to our album. And then we have this add to playlist method, which adds the song which is already present in the album to the playlist, because then only we can create a playlist if that song already exists in the album. And here we have two similar method with same name. Here the one which has the parameter of track number, and then the playlist where we have to add, which is a linked list. And the second method is which takes string as a parameter, and the list, a linked list where we have to add it, and this thing is again called playlist. Now if the song already exists in the album, then add it to the playlist, else simply print no. And here in this method we have to check for the track number, that enter track number is valid or not. So yes, we are done with the album class. So what next we can do is let's create an object of this album class. So go to our main.java, and here we have to let's create an object of this album. So let's call it album, and let's call it album, and this thing is equal to new album, and the first thing is the name of album. So let's have a very random name. Let's call it album 1. And the next thing that we're gonna need is okay, let's go to, okay, here we are not going to define the array list of song inside the constructor, because we have to define it while creating an object. So let's get rid of this, and here go to our main, and here we have to define the artist. So the artist is, let's say, ACDC. which is a famous band if you don't know. So here we have created an album, and we call this album as an album one, and the artist is AC/DC. So let's add a few songs inside it. So album dot, we have all the methods. So the first is add song, and let's add a song. So the first song is this thing is called TNT, which is a song by AC/DC, and here duration. So duration is let's say 4.5 minutes, and let's add a few similar songs inside this. So and this thing is called, let's say, Highway to Hell, and here let's say this is 3.5 minutes, and here we got Thunderstruck, which is another song from AC/DC, and duration is 5.0 this time. And another song that we can have in here is let's say Highway to Hell. We already have Highway to Hell, so let's call it anyways, get rid of this line, we don't have another song. So here we have an album, and we have created few songs to this album. So let's create a new album, and this thing is called, again, album is equal to new album, and the name of album is, let's say, album 2 this time, and the artist is Eminem. Okay, let's add a few songs. So copy this, and so the first song that we have in here is let's call it Rap God, and the duration is 4.5 minutes, and another song that we have is Not Afraid, and then we have, okay, let's change the duration to be 3.5, and next song that we have in here is Lose Yourself. Now we have two album with us, the first name to be album 2 and the other to be album 1, and we have to add this album to an array list of album. So let's create an array list of album. So private, and this thing is going to be static, we are not going to change it, and let's array list of album, and let's call it albums is equal to new array list, right? And let's add this album to the array list. So albums here, which is an array list dot add, and let's add this album. Similarly, let's add the second album too. So album, okay, not album, which is the array list dot add, and here you have to pass in the album. So let's add this album as well. Okay, why it is showing error and static is not allowed here. So what we can do is we can define it as a property of the class. So here it is, and we have two albums, and those two albums are added to our array list of album. And what the next thing that we can have is a linked list of playlist. So we have two albums, and now let's create a linked list of a playlist which contains the songs from these two albums. So let's create an linked list first. So a linked list of song, and let's call it playlist 1 is equal to new linked list. So we have created a linked list, okay, and this linked list is of song. Now let's add elements inside this linked list. So let's add the first song. This is my favorite song, so I'm going to add this in the playlist. So what the first we need to access the albums playlist. So albums, which is an array list dot get, and here we have to pass in 0 because 0th index contains this album of AC/DC. So album dot get 0, and we have this add to playlist, and here we have the second one, which is title and the linked list itself. So title was TNT, and here we have to pass in the linked list where we have to add, so we have to simply pass the playlist. And let's add a few similar songs. So the first two is going to be of this AC/DC album, and the name is let's say Highway to Hell, we need to be sure that we write the same title that we have passed in here. So, and the second time this thing is going to be of album 1, which is Eminem, and the song is Rap God, which is also one of my favorite. And here again album 1, and the song that we pass in here is, let's call it Lose Yourself. So here we have created our album and it have 4 songs. Now we have to play this album. So we have to create a new method called play, which will play this method. So which will play this you know playlist. So let's call that method to be play, and we'll pass the playlist here. So this thing is called playlist 1. So we'll pass it, and we'll just create this method. So what we type private, and the return type is void, and it's static as well. Okay, not here static, so private static void, and the name of the method is play here. And it takes a linked list as an input. So linked list of song, obviously, and this thing is, let's say, called playlist. So here is that method which will play our what we call it playlist. So okay, this method will write our code in this method in a while, but we need some kind of functionality which involves the user interaction, because we don't have something for that. So let's create a couple of methods which will allow us to have a user interaction. So let's create the first so let's have a method which will try to print our menu, all the options that we have. So private static void, and let's call this method to be print menu, and it won't take anything. And what we're going to do is we'll simply print all our stuffs that were the options we have. So we'll first print all the available options down below, and then we have this break line thing, and let's call it press. We are saying that we'll have all the options below this print statement. So the first thing that we're gonna have is okay, let's print everything. So press 0 for quit. So if you want to quit, so press 0, so 0 to quit. And we're gonna take all these input by the user, and let's break the line here. And okay, so for press 1 if you want to play the next song. So to play next song, so let's break the line here. And the next thing that we're gonna have is we have to play the previous song. So 2 for playing previous song, to play previous song, and break the line. Then we have 3, and what, okay, not here, so 3 here. And what we have here, so what we can do is we can replay the current song. To replay the current song, press 3, the current song, press this button, break the line. And the next option we can have is a list of all songs that we have in the album. So press 4, list of all songs, that's it, break the line. And the next thing that we have is what we can do is we can print all the available options, print all label options here, and break the line again. So what more we can have is we can delete the current song. So press 6 to delete current song from our album or the playlist. Delete current song, that's it. And I guess this is that's it, that we can we have enough options. So we have this print menu method, and what the next method that we can have is let's print the list. So let's have a different method for that. So private static void, and it will print list, and this is going to take input as the list that we have to print. So a linked list of a song, and linked list of song, and we call it a playlist because that's what we have to print. And what it does is that it iterates throughout the playlist, so we need a iterator for this, and this iterator will iterate throughout the song, and let's call it iterator is equal to playlist that we have passed in dot iterator. So this is how we create an iterator, and let's simply print this line so that we can separate things. And what the next is, we have to use for loop to iterate throughout the loop. So while iterator dot has next, so that means while this thing has next, what we have to do is we have to simply print whatever inside this list is. So system.out.println and iterator dot next, that's it. And let's print this line again so that it just separates everything. So here is our both the methods. We have print menu method and then we have print list method. This print menu option will give us all the available options that we have. So let's do everything inside this play method, which will play our this playlist. So here is this method called play, and let's do our coding inside this. So first thing that we need is a scanner, because we have to take users input in the form of integers which are 0 1 2 3 and all, and new scanner, and here we have to pass system.in. So here is our scanner. Now let's define a couple of boolean values. So boolean, and this thing is called quit, so it will take care that if user has quit or not, which was our zeroth option. So boolean quit, and let's initially set its value to be false, and then we have boolean, and this thing is called forward, and set this value to be true this time. So here is our both the booleans, and next thing that we need is a list iterator. So list iterator, and list iterator is of song, and let's call it list iterator is equal to, we need a, in what list we have to iterate. So playlist dot iterate list iterator, here we need this. So here we have our scanner, boolean, and list iterator. So the first thing that we have to check that if or this playlist is not empty, so we have to handle that case as well. So if the list or our playlist is empty, so playlist dot size, and this thing is, let's say, equal to 0. So if that's the case, then we have to simply print that this playlist have no song. So this playlist have no song, and in the else part, what we have to do is we have to print what's the current song is playing. So we'll print that now playing, and whatever is the current position of iterator. So list iterator dot next, and we have to, it will return a song, and we have to convert it to string because we have to print it. So this thing will print what's the current song is playing, and after that let's print the menu so that we have all the options available for the user. Now since the menu is now visible to the user can either press 0 1 2 3 4 and 5 6. So we have to take that input. So we have to check that the user has not quit. So while not quit, that means while this quit is uh, true, so in that case what we do is, so we have to take the user's input. So first is int action is equal to sc dot next int, because we have to take users input. And now let's break this line, here it is. So now we are going, since we have multiple options of action, so we're going to use a switch case which will take care of all the actions. So switch, we have to interrogate action, and here it is. Now when the case is 0, that means a user have pressed this 0 button, so we have to quit right away. So print this line which says play list complete, that's it. It will simply say playlist is complete, and quit will be set to true. so that we don't have to further do our steps, and after that we have to break. Now the next case could be, case 1 could be what it says. It says it have to play the next song, right? So here we need an if statement. If not forward, that means if forward is false, and we have to also check that if list iterator dot has next, that means not has dot has next, not previous. So we have to check that uh, since we have instructed to play the next song, and we have to even check that the next song exists or not. So if the next song exists, then we have to shift our list iterator. So list iterator dot next, simple as that. And what we do is, here we'll set forward to be true this time. And what we do is we have to now print the song that we have in here. So what we do is, outside this if statement, we do another if statement, not outside this. Okay, let me just confirm. Here is the list iterator, then we have set forward to be true, and yes, outside this list iterator we check for other if statement, that is if list iterator dot has next, just to be sure. And after that we will print whatever the current list iterator is on. So it will say now playing, and whatever is the position of list iterator, so list iterator dot next, and we have to convert it into string, and that's it. So and at the same time, not at the same time, we have to now check for the else part. So else, what we can do is, there is no next song, so that means we have reached to the end of the list. So we have, okay, no song available, reached to the end of the list. So we have reached the end of the list, and we'll set forward to be false. So forward, okay, not for forward will be set to false here. So here we have handled 0 and 1, which was to quit and to play the next button. So when the user presses 2, now here we have to what we have to do is we have to play the previous song. So let's break out of this first. So we'll break here, and what we do is, when the case is 2, so in that case what we do, we have another if statement here. So if the forward is true, and we have to check that if the previous exists, then shift our pointer or list iterator the previous. The list iterator dot has previous. So we have to check this because let's say if we are on the first song, then in that case we don't have any previous song, so we have to check that. So if previous song is exist, then shift the list iterator to previous, and forward will be set to false. So outside this if statement, forward is equal to false, and what we do is, outside this if statement, now if list iterator dot has previous, just to be sure, and what we do is we have to print whatever the current song it is. So now playing, and the song is list iterator dot previous, and we have to convert it to string, yes, like this. And in the else part we have to handle that we are at the first song, so there is no previous song, so we are at the first song, like this. And what we do, will set forward to false. So forward, and we'll set it to false, so like this, and we'll break here. And the next thing is we have handled 0, 1 and 2. So next thing that we have to handle is we have to replay the current song. So let's say define the case 3. So the case 3 is if we have to check that if we are eligible for forward, then we have to shift okay, not like this. If list iterator dot has previous, since pointer is shifted, we have to move to the previous. So in that case, if the list that has previous, will simply print that whatever the song it is, because it will be the previous song. So now playing, and the name of song, which is a list iterator dot previous, and we'll convert it to string like this, and we'll set forward, okay, not for forward, to false like this. And what we can do is, in the else part we can say that we are at the, so in the else part we'll simply print that we are at the start of the list like this. And now what we can do is, now we need another else block here. So else, and let's define everything here. Now if list iterator dot has next this time, if this has next, then we'll simply print, so now playing, and whatever the current song is, so list iterator dot next, and we have to print it, so we'll convert it into string, and forward will be set to true again. So for not for loop, forward is equal to true here. And here, if that's the case, now if that's not, so what we'll do is, we'll simply print that we have reached to the end of the list. So we have reached to the end of list, yes, like this, and we'll simply break out of, so out of this if else block we will break this. So we have handled case 3 when we have to replay the current song. Now when the case 4, we have to print all the songs. So when the case is 4, what we do is, we will print the list. So here we have created a method which will print all the songs inside the playlist. So we'll simply not print menu, print list, and here we have to pass in the linked list, which is our playlist. And we have handled 4. Now when 5 is pressed, we have to okay, first break out of this, and when the case is 4, what we have to do, we have to not 4, when the case is 5, what we have to do is, we have to print all the available options. So simply print the menu here and break out of the this block. And when the case is 6, here we have to remove or delete the current song that we are on. So if there is no such song, that means if okay, we have to do this when the song exists in our playlist. So playlist dot size, if that thing is greater than 0, then only we can delete items from the playlist. What we do, if list iterator dot has next, if list iterator dot has next, then it will, okay, before that we will remove the whatever the current iterator is on. So list iterator dot remove. So if list iterator dot has next, so if, so for example, if we have deleted the current song, then we have to play the next song for that. So we have to check that if the next song even exists or not. So if list iterator dot has next, and what we'll do is, we'll simply print, we will print now playing, now playing, and the name of the song, so list iterator dot next, and we'll convert it into string. So since we have removed the current song, so so by default it will either print either play the next song or the previous song, and at the same time will set forward to be true. And if there is not any next song, that means we have removed the last song of the uh, playlist, then we have to handle the else case. We'll simply print whatever we have in previous. So we will write, okay, let's have one more. We'll have to check that even if the previous song exists or not. So if list iterator dot has previous, so we have to only do this when we have the previous. So what we do, Okay, let me just make sure that this thing has a return type of string here. So if list iterator dot, if I type next, and it will return the song, and yes, let's convert it into string. Okay, now if it has the previous song, then it will simply say now playing. Okay, we don't have to set forward to be true, right? Now if the playlist is greater than 0, list dot remove, and if the next song exists, print the next song, and if the previous song exists, print the previous song. So now playing, and whatever the name of song is, so list iterator dot previous dot to string. So here is our case 4, and we don't have any more cases. So what we had done, we had defined all the cases. So we have taken the user's input and defined some of the booleans. Then we have this list iterator for playlist, and if the list, if the size of the list is 0, simply print that we don't have any song, and in the else part print the current playing song, and at the same time print all the available options, that means print menu. So while not quit, while users have not quit yet, take users input and use switch case, and we have 0 1 2 3, all the different cases. For example, we have when 0 is pressed, it says playlist complete and we just quit. So we have defined all the 4 cases, and I guess we have everything in place and we are good to go. So let's run this and see what we have in here. So here it is. Okay, we got this our menu and the current song is playing, but we have this chunk and we don't need this. So what I have done is I have printed everything here. So we don't need to print all the operations that we have performed. So what we can do is we can get rid of all the print statements. So let's just comment them. So we have one more print statement here, similarly one more here. So here we don't have any print statements in the album class, and we have everything in this main menu. So let's rerun this, and everything will be fixed this time. Hope so. So just give it a moment, and here it is. So it says now playing TNT, and the duration is 4.5. So this is playing TNT, which is name of song, because this is the first song that I have added to this playlist. So if I added this highway to hell to the first place, then it must be playing highway to hell, but here it is playing what this is called TNT. So the next so here we have all the options: 0 to quit and 1 to play next song. So let's play the next song, which is 1 plus 1, and hit enter. So it is now playing highway to hell, which was our second song, if you see, highway to hell. And let's print the play the next song, press 1, and this time it is playing the rap god. And let's delete this rap god. So for deleting we have this 6 button, so press 6, and it is now playing lose yourself, and rap god is deleted. Right, now let's print uh, all the songs of the list. So press 4 and it will. Okay, here we have only 3 songs: TNT, highway to hell, and lose yourself, and we don't have rap god because we have deleted the rap god. So this was the app that we have created. I know this is not very fancy, but it will definitely sharpen your skill in oops and Java. So I hope you learned something from this video, and that's it for this video. And if you enjoyed the video, hit like button, and if you learned something, then do share with your friends. So yeah, that's it for this video, and like this video if you found it useful, and subscribe to the channel for more such contents. So yep, see you in the next video.